I was gonna say some stuff. Um, just a little bit of chit chat before we get started. For one thing, I'm working on somebody else's supplemental today, and I was really excited because I needed to order a 1947 death certificate from Florida. Have you guys tried to order any vital records from Florida?
Yes,
No.
Who said yes?
me, Cindy.
Okay. Hi, Cindy. Um, what I experienced, and I was really excited, is for a death certificate, it only costs $5, and I could order it without having any relationship connection as long as I didn't want the cause of death.
Huh.
Huh.
And so it cost $5, but then there was another dollar shipping charge. I'm like, I'll take that, $6. A lot of times we pay a lot more than that for other records if we want them. So, um, also on the other hand, there's this ongoing drama with my mom's adoption and the AIR for her DAR application. And so today I was busy and she ran off and she decided that we're having a very difficult time getting any kind of records of her adoption. She threw Cloak and Dagger of many years ago, like in the 1970s and 60s, found out what her birth parents' names were and her birth name was. So she decided today to go out on Vital Check and order her birth certificate. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried using Vital Check. I don't recommend it, but it turned out it was going to cost her $45, but they wouldn't sell it to her because she didn't have a credit card in the name of the person that she was ordering the birth certificate for. So, it's just that's another reason I was so excited that I could get a death certificate with no connection to a person in Florida for, well, $6, $5 plus the dollar shipping. It just, that vital check is not the way to go for any of you guys that are trying to get vital records. If you're trying to get something that's not on Family Search or Ancestry and you know it exists. This was the one I was looking for was the 1947 one. So it was, safe, if you will, time wise. But so I wanted to just share that and see if you guys had any other things that you wanted to talk about real quick before we started in on this newspaper presentation. Okay, Susan, with that, why don't you go for it?
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. So, thanks for letting me speak today. This is it's a class that I give for residents here at Sun City in our genealogy group. Um, it's a fun topic because as it says on this advertisement, dig up the good dirt. And you get some bad dirt, just like DNA. You get some bad dirt with the good dirt. But I have found some very interesting things in using the newspapers because the newspapers and the sites that I'm going to show you go back to the 1700s in the United States, which is pretty phenomenal. Most of them are free. You have your handout. Most people just like to jot down some notes on that if you printed it off. I put a dollar sign on it if there's a fee for it. Some of them have partial free and some other not, but otherwise. Um, but newspapers are how they kept in touch with the towns. In the olden days, they would have the newspapers where they would have every single column would be full and there would be 50 stories on one page. And it was very challenging to read. Um, as newspapers went along, they started making larger headlines and making the print larger and making more pages. So it got a little easier to read. But it's a tool that I use often in our work. So hopefully it'll be helpful information to you. Before we get started, if you have not heard, I use Ancestry because it's so easy to use. And when I work with prospective members, I will start a tree if they don't already have a public tree, and I will use it just for the people that are in the tree that I need. But by having a membership, it gives me hints, and I can get the majority of my birth, marriage, and death records from Ancestry. And it also has, as you all know, it has, you can go to the card catalog and look under other things, which I'll show you a few of these tricks. But it's just been the #1 place for me to find things. So it is on sale for 50% off through tomorrow. I don't know what time tomorrow. Sometimes they have a cutoff time. But you can also get gift certificates for memberships. So if you would like to ask a family member for Christmas or whatnot, this would be a great gift for them to give you as well. But I changed my membership around. So like I was on a 6-month world membership. So I updated it to paying for it once a year. And by doing that, I was able to take advantage of the 50% off. Ancestry goes on sale several times a year. So you just have to look around the holidays, and I get letters from a guy who tells me when they go on sale. So anyway, sorry to go on and on, but it's just I've been doing this for many, many years, and it's the easiest tool to use. So I wanted to let you know about that. All right. So let me get out of this and hope it doesn't lose everything. And I did. So bear with me just a second. All right, I'm not going to go through every single one of these on the list, but the first one I wanted to just mention was Ancestry Hunt. If you know somebody that is brand new to genealogy and they want a quick way to get going, they started out as being free about 2 or 3 years ago, and then now they have a fee for a quote membership. But they have a lot of webinars, and it's a really good tool to be able to learn how to use Ancestry, Family Search, and some of the other basics. My #1, as I mentioned before, was Ancestry. And since I want to spend the most amount of time with that one and newspapers.com, remind me, and I'm going to come back to that. So the first one I want to show you is Chronicling, I hope if I spell right, America. If you haven't heard of that, it is through the Library of Congress, and I was pleased to know that they had not shut that one down. They have shut down another one. But the Library of Congress, this has the digital newspapers, like I say, going back to the 1600s. So if you click on about this collection, they keep changing things around, but in this collection, you can go down to newspapers. And again, this is a free site. Now, in this box where the blue boxes around is, I'm going to put in quotations marks one of my DAR ancestors. He's my first supplement, and his name is, Audley Paul. He's from Virginia, from the Shenandoah Valley area, and most of these sites have this, so you'll have to bear with us on this. All right. So with Audley Paul, he's going to search the newspapers. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is, do you see the pink highlighted? With the pink highlighted, those are actual articles where his name is in the newspaper. So I'm going to start with this one, this image 4. And if I blow it up, you can see Captain Paul. So Captain Paul, this is an article. It is dated, this was in Virginia in January, and I can't see the date on it. Oh, there it is, 1871. This was after he died, but it is an article about him during the French and Indian War. So if you want to get background on an individual, now he provided patriotic service during the Revolutionary War, but during the French Indian War, he actually was a soldier, served alongside George Washington, and he was even presented a sword at one point. But this article, let's see if I can get back to this. There. This article, if I show the full page, it has him quoted. under certain areas. So you can read through the article, and it talks about they chased the Indians all the way to Ohio. Now, he's one also that had a fort named after him. Here it says a company of Minutemen from Botetourt under command of Captain Preston, and it talks about these other captains. So it was called the Sandy Creek Voyage, and that was the name of the particular battle for that. So you may want to mute the other people for now, Susan, if you have that ability, except yourself. Susan, can you do that?
Just did it.
Thank you. And then I'll stop for questions later on. Okay, so that's one idea for chronicling America. And so the whole idea behind this is you can also, once I pull this article up, if you want to clip it, do you see, let me move you down. Do you see up here where it has the scissors? You can clip there, and a box, once you put somewhere, you will be able to clip it out. If you do not have a clipping tool, I would highly recommend you get one. And can you see this lower box where I am right now? Susan? You can put in
Yes.
snipping tool, hit enter, and you can download the app from there. So they've changed that in the last year. But anyway, the snipping tool is great. And that way you can make a copy. There you go. There's the snipping tool for this one. So you can make it however big you want. And I don't have a section with him in it, but you clip the image and then you can share it. And you can send it to your email or whatever. So anyway, you can do that with that. Okay, that's back to the original article. Okay, so that's chronicling America. I really enjoy using that one. Okay, the next one I want to use is Cindy's List. Now, with Cindy's List, Cindy is a volunteer. She's done this for free. She has, now I went ahead and put in newspapers with this, but if I go back to her homepage, that's an ad. Cindy's List has links to website on anything genealogy related. So if you are having trouble finding something, I'll go to categories real quick. So here, Anabaptists. I have some of those in my history. If you want a bastardy and illegitimacy, newspapers. So I wanted to go to that one next. So in newspapers, they have 1,181 subscriptions, and that would be the name of the newspaper. There's military newspapers, there's occupational and labor union newspapers, a lot of different newspapers. So what these are is just that, let's look at the military newspapers for one. So I would imagine that they have something like the Army Times. Let me see where it has the search, any name to search. Okay.
I
That's
think
a
that took
public
you out
one.
of Cindy's list, Susan.
Huh?
That took you out of Cindy's list. You're in the public record searcher now.
Yeah, I don't want that. That's an ad and they get you to pay. So anyway, you can look up a newspaper that way. It's a free site, but again, they have, if you have somebody with a Slavic background, for example, or something out of the ordinary, she has websites that you can go to for that. The next one I want to do is Family Search. Now, they don't have a lot for newspapers, I'll be honest. But if you do not have a free account, I think a lot of you know, only 40% of the records that are on Ancestry are also on Family Search. So that gives you a lot of records that the difference are. Yeah, you can, over here in the blue box up here where I have my cursor, create an account. It's free. Just know that it's public. Anybody can get their hands on it and they can change your records at any time. And it's kind of a pain, to be honest, to go out of it. But the way you can look for newspapers is they have added a topic to this. Now, many of you have heard lately about this full text search. And have we had a class on that yet, Susan?
We've had a couple.
Okay. But they now have it off of the search button. That is brand new in the past couple of weeks. But they do have, if you go down to newspapers, you can put in a name. But what they have done is they have partnered up with storied.com, which a lot of these vendors are doing this, and they're
I think
trying to sell you
Storied is,
something. But if
I
you
think
scroll
Storied is
down,
newspaper archives too, isn't it?
yeah, I'll get to that one. If you scroll down, then it has searchable newspaper collections. But do you see how they had an ad pop up? So Family Search even has ads now. Okay, so here we are in newspapers. So if you wanted to look up some obituaries in a specific county, here they are. Now, the total for this that they have is 14 newspapers. That's not impressive. So I know they have more than that, but that's one way of searching. Another is under search records. Actually, that's not what I want. I want search catalog. Under keywords, I'm going to put in newspapers and search. Let's see how many we come up with there. 15,000. That's a little bit better number. So you can spend some time looking there if you like, and you can put in by a place, and you can get with the card catalog. You need to go to the specific place. Then you look up names once you're there locally. You don't put in names at this point. All right. So that's Family Search. Again, not very much, but it's an option that's there. This button is in the way of me looking. Let me move it down the bottom. There we go. All right. The next one is Genealogy Bank. So Genealogy Bank is, their papers go back to the 1690s. It is a membership based. I get the membership like every other year. What I do is every end of February, last week of February, the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City has a free, what do I want to use the word, a free conference, so to speak. You can attend it online for free, or you can go in person to Salt Lake City, and they have people from all over the world who give webinars. Well, these webinars are on topics from all over the world. Some of them are feel-good sessions, but they're free. But also they have an exhibitor booth where you can go and you can visit the different exhibitors online from home, and they will offer discounts on their products. That's how I get Genealogy Bank. I don't like to pay full price if I don't have to. We have to pay for enough things. So anyway, that's how I got Genealogy Bank. So let me log in just to give you an idea if you have not used it. So if I put in, and I'm going to put in a first name and last name, but it's not. This is one of my husband's great-grandfathers. He lived from 1825 to 1869. Whoops. And he lived in Georgia, and there's a drop-down screen for there. And these will have other articles. Now, if you notice at the top, it tells you what the articles are. So he was in 16 newspaper articles, 3 federal census, and no historical books or anything like that. So there wasn't an obit for him. But the reason he was in so many articles is because he was over here, if you'll see, he was an ordinary. And this is back in the 1800s. An ordinary is basically like a county clerk. And this was for Cobb County, north of Atlanta, and what's now Marietta, Georgia. So that's why his name shows up there. So, but another job he had, which again, if you're trying to prove where they lived and whatnot, let me go back to. He was also, there's another Dobbs article. That's a sheriff's sale. All right, there was one other. That was talking about property. He also served, here it is, at the military staff. Some of you may have heard of the Georgia Military College, which is in Milledgeville, Georgia. Well, it used to be in Marietta, and he was on the staff working for the commissary. And basically, this is saying, while the general's out of town, this is who's in charge. But again, if you're just trying to find people where they were and whatnot, it's a tool that we can use. The obits that they have are generally not the same ones that they have in genealogy, in newspapers.com. So it's just another tool for the toolbox that we can use. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the Internet Archive for just a minute. It is basically shut for business right now, but I'm going to talk about it. It is called the Wayback Machine. And what they are doing is they are it's up again. Well, it was down this morning. So this is a government funded, partially funded. They are trying to catalog the internet and things of modern day times, which the other sources have not gotten to yet. So, for example, you can see on here, these are websites. So websites that have gone down and are no longer there, you can go on this website and you can pull up an old website. So I used to sell real estate for a short while, 10 years in Atlanta, and I can go in there and pull up my old website from there, and it's no longer any good, but it has the history of this. And where they're doing this is they're doing this in the basement of a lot of libraries throughout the United States, including in Salt Lake City, and including in my favorite library, which is the second largest repository in the country, the Allen County Public Library, which is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have a big presence there, and they have volunteers who are scanning every day, all these things, so that one day we will be able to go back and check these. They also have films. So you can go back and check old films. They have old television shows, just all kinds of fun things. So if you have not heard of that before, so I'm going to put in newspapers just to see what they have currently. Like I said, this was shut down earlier today. Okay, so it's going to be limited, and you're going to have to look through every different one to see what they have. But for this one, newspapers.com, they have 271,000 sites on there. Here's a Heritage Newspapers, Southern Newspapers, Boone Newspapers, I'm assuming that's Boone, North Carolina, Newspapers and Education, so Suburban Chicago Newspapers. So you just have to play with it and see what you can come up with. Susan, did you want to add anything about the Internet Archive? I can't hear you.
I muted myself. I've been coughing a lot, so I'm trying not to.
That's fine.
There's a lot there on the Internet Archives. Thank you for your description on the Wayback Machine because that's fascinating. But the Internet Archives is really a very good repository for old published books. I just was spending time there today with a 1903 county biography that was well written and well photographed. Now, that's not part of the Wayback Machine, but that's in the direct Internet Archives. It's just a very awesome website. That's all I'll
Well, the
add.
Internet Archives is the Wayback Machine.
Okay, I don't agree, but you're telling it, so I think the Wayback Machine is a part of the Internet Archive's digital library, Susan. There's more.
Ah,
There's more.
okay.
So
Okay.
that's
Well,
all I
that's
would have
good
to
to
say
know.
about it. It's a great website. Yeah.
Again, it's another tool in your toolbox. Feel free to explore any of these on your own at any time. Okay, the next one, and this is, again, some of these are ones you will probably never use. My Heritage is a site, if, and again, this doesn't affect what we do, but I tried it out several times. Mostly it just gave me hints to other people's trees, which I don't care about because they're usually copying somebody else's trees. So these are a few searches I have done in there. See, it popped up with a sale on it, but I'm not interested. But the main thing is when people get DNA, if you have family that's just been over here a generation, you can tell people My Heritage would be the DNA site for them to go to because just like in the United States, we use primarily ancestry.com and Family Search. In Europe, they use My Heritage. My Heritage is based in Israel. They also have excellent Eastern European records that other places don't have. So if you know of anyone with Jewish descent, I would consider sharing that as a resource for them. But if I go to home and let me see what they have for newspapers, what I have right now is basically a free account. So let me see, search all records, newspapers. Let's see what they've got. Just says search in newspapers, but it's got quite a few records. Again, they're going to be mostly European. Here's Canada, Australia, and Switzerland, and Ireland. So again, just another resource. All right. Newspaper archive. Newspaper archive. I'm a member of the National Genealogical Society, and they made a big announcement a year ago saying that, oh, we're going to offer this site free to members of the National Genealogical Society. Give me this. It says you can have a free trial. Basically, Newspaper Archives now has, I was looking at it earlier today, and it had several newspaper articles, again, going back to the 1700s, but now they have a premium membership. So you can see that they're there, but you can't open them unless you have a membership. So sorry, but this is just, it's a fact in the world of genealogy right now. There's a lot of other great sites out there, but it is what it is right now.
Susan, could I share something right there?
Yeah.
Um, Newspaper, it's interesting if you're going to be studying in one geographic area, like this is amazing, old Fulton New York postcards, awesome. But it's kind of geographically centered, even though he spreads out. And the same thing with a lot of the other newspaper subscription sites. I've noticed, Susan, Newspaper Archives carries the Aiken area heavily, and you don't get as much coverage of the Aiken area in newspapers.com or in Genealogy Bank. So I would just put that plug out there. If you find that there's an area that you're studying and you see them in one of these subscriptions, it might be worth it for you based on that. So, but this is
Correct. That's why you just have to try. And you can do a free trial. Note that a lot of them have 7-day free trials. And if you want to save up several people at a time and on your free trial to try them, And I think it sounds like that's a good resource. And that's the key to all of these websites. They have certain strengths. Old Fulton New York Postcards is pretty cool. It was founded, I think back in the 60s or 70s by an old guy who was retired and looking for a hobby. And in his garage, he started collecting newspapers from all over the state of New York. And then he started scanning them as he was able to, and he put them out there. Now he covers other states up attached to New York, and he does other areas, but it's manned today by all volunteers, and you can see over here 57,255,000 old newspaper pages from U.S. and Canada. Again, but there's no cost to this one. You can just search, and I'm going to try searching this guy. He's one of my ancestors. And as you scroll down, it's a little bit different. These are actual clippings of newspaper articles that he was in. And let me see if I can find the one. So the one I have for him is Jamaica, New York. There, this one. Do you see how it has the percentages over in the side? That's how much of a match they are. So yeah. Let me get over to this page. And let me try to magnify it. This box keeps getting in my way. Aha, plus. Come on. No. There you go. This one happened to be a legal notice, but you can search for newspapers, and this was back in 1940. So this guy actually has a monument to him in Manhattan, which I've never been to Manhattan, but so anyway, you can look things up. What I have found, if you are putting together a story, which we try to do on our personal pages, I'm pulling up the Empire State Building because there's an article in here from the 30s. There you go. Let me blow it up. Built by man will be a real city above the clouds. And that's a picture of what it looked like back in the 40s. But it has an article on it. And again, if you are capturing pictures and whatnot and snapshots, it's just, and it has the story behind it. So if you had an ancestor that helped build a bridge or a specific bridge or something somewhere, you could look into that. But you can look up names as well. Okay. Next one, I want to do statewide digital memory projects. The website for that, and I don't have it written down, if you want to write this down, is https:// historic newspapers.sc.edu. Those are for South Carolina. What these are college libraries have gathered historic newspapers for their state. And here again, you talked about Aiken. These are articles going back to the mid-1800s. Here's civil rights. The Charleston Advocate goes way back. And there's others on here. And you can do an advanced search, but this is for the state of South Carolina. So I've got, again, this is one up, John Martin. This is another one of my husband's great grandparents. My husband's family is from Anderson. He's from Toccoa, Georgia. But These are articles that go back, and he was a state senator for South Carolina for a while. But this just shows you that you can find, usually back in Anderson area, they use the Abbeville newspapers. And see how it's pink highlighted again? That's where it shows the name. So one name or the other. So if I just put Martin in it, instead of just John, I'm getting a lot of matches on the Johns. So you can find articles that way. If you wanted to go to Countrywide, they have a list, and this list was actually in Family Tree magazine, which is my favorite. And you can see they have it for all the different states. So again, this is just another resource. If you got
Susan,
somebody,
what was the URL for that again? Where you're at now?
Well, I typed in statewide digital memory project,
Okay, thank you.
and that's what's on your handout.
I see.
But what came up was webjunction.org, but it's got a bunch of other stuff.
The
But
other
if you
one's
do,
much easier.
yeah, so if you type in statewide digital memory projects, the list comes up. So again, you can go to any of the states, and you can find, and I'm familiar with this one. I have a lot of family. Both my parents were born in Indiana, and here's going right to Indiana newspapers. And then you can click on the county and you can go from there. So keep in mind that sometimes the smaller towns didn't have as many newspapers. So my father's family lived in further up, Grant County. My mother's was from Jay County, but the nearest newspaper was in Muncie, which was down in, I think, Wayne County. So for both of them. So you have to keep in mind, don't be married to just one county when you're doing your research. Okay. There's also, before I get to newspapers and .com and Ancestry, a couple of other sites that I do not have on your handout if you want to write it down. One of them is called Small Town Papers. That's 3 different words. Because a lot of our families, that's where they came from, were small towns. So, and then you can click on there. So that's the website, smalltownpapers.com. So you may want to make a note of that. It's just while we're here, gotta make sure I'm human again. Well, I won't take up too much time with that. Okay, another one is Elefind. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. It went away for a while and now it's come back. Elefind has college newspapers primarily. And so you can put in, again, a local area and it will show you what it has for that area. Here it says it's a great tool for family historians, genealogists, and research to search historic digitized newspaper archives from around the globe. So not sure if many of you have heard of that one. You can also do google.com/newspapers, and you can check on sites there as well. That's not on the handout either. Okay, now let's go to newspapers.com. All right, so with newspapers.com, there is a basic membership and a premier membership. Let me see what it says lately the fees are. And this is something, I've got this 6 months at a time, and it's not telling me how much it is, but I think if I remember correctly, it's about $60. But again, sometimes it goes on sale too around the holidays times. So I love newspapers.com. So it's extremely easy to use. So let me show you a few examples. There are some videos, just so you know, if you want to get more comfortable with that. Under the just the main homepage. You can go to help, introduction and searching. And there are videos, basic search. It'll walk you through in 3 minutes how to do a basic search on here and how to do a clipping. Very easy to use. I really love newspapers.com. I'm using it all the time. So let me give you an example from here. This will start the good stuff. So I had a great-great-grandfather that I wasn't finding a lot on. And I wanted to find out more about him. And at the time, he lived in West Virginia. It had just been taken over from Virginia. It became part of West Virginia. So this was just after just before the Civil War. So I looked in here and found an article. So the first article that I saw was that he had some slaves, and that one of them had run away, and one of them had run away from somebody else. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then I came across, let's see where that is. It's going to be Virginia. Virginia used to cover a lot of the West Virginia area. Well, then I came across this article. Poisoning. And I've got it in blue here. I'll let you read it. So actually, before that article, I had come across another article, and it will tell you down here if there are more articles from there. It was from another state. Anyway, it was, oh, here you go. Okay, so let me make this a little smaller. We learned, oh, this is after. Anyway, the bottom line is my great-grandfather was poisoned, apparently with strychnine, but this is how they wrote it up. We learned from a correspondent of the Hardy Whig, writing from Upper Track, Pendleton County, that Mr. Elijah Stonestreet died on the 26th of December last under circumstances which gave rise to the suspicion that his wife, who seemed to prefer the society of Solomon Carrier to that of her lawful husband, had poisoned him by putting strychnine in the butter. The jurors who were last summoned to meet to inquire on the cause of death reassembled to further investigate the matter. And after hearing all the evidence induced, which established that his wife was too intimate with the accused, that the deceased complained of the bitterness of the butter, that a dog had eaten a biscuit with a portion of the same butter upon it, died with symptoms of being poisoned within a short time. They rendered a verdict to this effect. Then it said that it must have been administered by them, but they were acquitted. So my great-grandmother, Betsy Miller Stonestreet, and Mr. Carrier were both acquitted on that. So later on, because again, once you come across something like this, after you pick your jaw up off the floor, then you go and try to find whatever articles you can find. Come to find out, well, Betsy had 3 or 4 children with her husband, with Elijah. 2 of them had died in their first year of life. And apparently Elijah was not a very nice man. Well, I'm not saying that she was right in hanging out with another gentleman. I don't know if I'd call him a gentleman or not. But anyway, they came up with this. What happened after this is Mr. Carrier moved to another town out of another state, 3 years later, she and her 2 children moved up there. They got married and they had a child together. They then got divorced. She moved back. She had to move to another town because her name was disgraced in Pendleton. So she moved to another town in Indiana. And it ended up, when I did the last research article on Mr. Carrier, he ended up dying in an institution. And I don't know if it was the poorhouse or if it was a jail or a mental institution. But that's
Talk
how
about
that.
fleshing it out, Susan.
Well, you have to look several times and
That's
going
cool
back and
though.
forth and change the states and all that because, like I said, it showed up in Ohio too.
Wow.
It was too juicy a story not to follow up on. And I'm not proud of this. And it's funny, one of my cousins that had been in a DNA match, she actually changed the name of her family tree, which was her last name in Stone Street, to just her last name because she hadn't found it. And she found a lot more stuff that I didn't find over the years. So,
We can't judge our ancestors. They don't judge us.
right. Until you've walked in their shoes. But
Right.
I want to show you basically how easy it is to clip on an article. Well, this one's been clipped a bunch of times. Let me find one that's not been clipped quite so many times. We'll see if this one has been. It has, that's okay. So you go up here to the scissors to clip. You move these boxes around. Thing is, now I have to bring it up. It takes just a minute. So you want to make sure that it shows it well. Did you want to put a title in it? Suspected. And hit save, the lower blue button. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to save it to Ancestry or do you want to share it? If you share it, you can email it to somebody else, which is always fun to do, which of course I had to share with my sister. But you can also share it to a family tree. Now, I have a lot of family trees because I use them for DAR and I make myself an editor because that's the only way you can get hints if you're an editor. As a guest, you can just look at theirs. As a contributor, you can't look at their hints. All you can do is add a story. So you have to build up a trust relationship so they can become an editor. But then I'm going to put in, I'm going to add this to Solomon Carrier. He's not a family member, but since there was so much goodies on him, I had to go ahead and create a name for him in the tree. So he's off the tree, but he's in there. And then save. Now, when you go to print this out, it actually cites it and shows the newspaper up here. It came from the Richmond Dispatch. It shows the date and it shows the page number that it was on. So you can do the same thing with an obituary or any other article. But newspapers is by far my favorite to use. Then I came across another interesting story, and it was one how you get hints. Well, that was on Ancestry, so I guess I'll go to that one. Let's go ahead and open it up before we go to that. Go ahead and unmute everybody, Susan, and see if we have any questions on newspaper or any of the other ones we've done so far. Anybody have any questions?
I do. I have a question.
Okay.
I currently do not have newspapers myself, but Julia works at the library and Colleen's got it, so I usually just send them my requests. So I'm getting what they send me back after they've gotten the clipping. There's 2 different ways it's coming back. Colleen has a way that she's clipped it and printing it to send back to me in a PDF form that has the newspapers, it has more detail to it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you show me how that works? Because I'm not having doing it myself, I'm not sure what it is that she's doing that Julia's not doing.
Okay.
Julia's
She's
just putting the
probably doing
clipping
it.
and then
There's two ways of doing it. One is from Ancestry, which I'm going to show you in a minute.
Okay.
But the other way is if you are at a public library, it is basically it's a public. No, that's not true. Unless, yeah, the libraries have newspapers.com. It's the same as the library edition of Ancestry, which means there's no trees on it. So the way you do that is if you were in the library and you had up the library site, then you open up another window. And if you have, let's say, Ancestry, and you put Ancestry in another window in your Ancestry account, you pull up that name in there. Then go back to the other window with the newspapers.com article. Then you can go up to, let me just find a clipping to show you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
There you go. This is one of the people. A DAR good candidate.
Okay.
Bootleg. Okay. So if you're in that, when it says share,
Right.
you can email it to somebody.
That's just emailing me the link, isn't it?
No, it
No?
emails you the article and where it came from.
Okay. So if I save it, what does it look like?
Well, if that's what I'm trying to say is
I
if
mean,
you
not
have,
save, not saving it to Ancestry, but just saving it. Is there?
then you can save it to a thumb drive. Is another option, or you can email it to yourself. And then when you get it, it is a link. And then you pull it up and then you save it as a PDF on your own computer.
You can print a PDF from newspapers.com.
That's what I was wondering. Maybe I
Looks really
think that's what
pretty.
Colleen's doing, maybe. I think that's what it is. I think that Julia is clipping it and she's writing the information that the newspaper information on the clipping, but I think Colleen must be printing it to PDF.
That's what it sounds like,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Okay.
So see here where it says Ancestry,
Mhm.
and this is on the newspaper site. If you have on the same computer, let's say it's an Ancestry tree, and you have newspapers in another one, as long as it's open on that computer, it will come over to the Ancestry account that you indicate which tree and which name.
I understand that. We're
Okay.
not doing that. We're simply just getting the information. We're not attaching it to anything in Ancestry. So that's what I think PDF printing is what she's doing. Okay.
Yes, but just the email. She can just email it to you.
Okay.
Again,
I just know that it's coming. I just know that it's coming differently when Colleen does it because it has all of the newspapers logo and all the information with it when she sends. Okay. Thanks. That was my only question.
Okay. Any other questions before we go on?
Oh, and I don't have a handout. So
Susan sent it out.
Yeah, I emailed it. About to it. I'll send you again, Amanda, right now.
okay, I'll go look for it then. I must have missed it.
Yeah, she sent it out a day or two ago. But anyway, first of all, if you want to look and see what Ancestry has for newspapers, you go to search, card catalog, in keyword, you put in newspapers. And down here to newspapers and periodicals. Then what I would do is I would filter it. So if you wanted to filter it by US, and then it's going to show you the different states. So I'll use Indiana as an example. And you can see which Indiana newspapers that it has access to. What I typically use, the most common is the usnewspapers.com birth index, the obituary index, and there's a marriage index also. I have used those before. You can also filter it by centuries or by decades. So that is one way you can do that. Another way you can do it that not a lot of people are familiar with is if you go on search, all collections and you scroll down, there is a map of the United States. From there, you can go to specific states, and there you have records for those states.
Mm.
And that's a tool that it's right under our noses, and we tend to not use it. Family Search has the same thing with the Research Wiki. You click on the map, you go by the continent, then you go by the country, and then over in the right-hand side, you can get to the newspapers. Once you get to the local area, then you can go to and it has newspapers in there. So there are other ways of doing that. But this, a lot of people don't use this here. But real quick, I know I'm running out of time. So, let me, I just stumbled across, this came up as a hint. This other lady, and this is kind of juicy stuff, but I don't know this lady. She's a first cousin, twice removed. She died before I was born. But she was the mother of a line that this guy, his father, this guy is a Revolutionary War ancestor, but the linking these two eluded Fort Wayne Library, had it for several months. It took them a while, and I finally got a DNA match that she brought it to my attention, who it was. So now I know I'm on the right track, but I can't link these two, so I cannot use him as a patriot. But anyway, I came across one of the granddaughters, and again, these are sensationalist. This was an article on here on her obituary. She hung herself at age 46. Now, this is a small town. It's same small town my mother was born in. My mother said there's no privacy. Everybody knows everybody else's business. So I'm like, it said, despondent because of ill health, she took her life shortly after her husband left for work. Well, I still said, there is something out there. It just does not add up. So I went back and I said, I'm going to look at the husband. And then I said, how did he die? And when did he die? Well, he died a year later, but look what he died of. Syphilis.
Mm.
So come to find out, when I was looking, again, these are the worst stories I've come up with so far in my family. So, and let me tell you, I have found some stories on some of our applicants. It'll curl your hair, I mean. But come to find out, before he was married, the first time, this was his second marriage, he was in the military and he served in World War I in the Army Air Corps. So he was over likely in Germany during that time and served. And we can only assume that's probably where he got this. Again, this is an assumption, but I have an active imagination, so it's okay. But anyway, that got me wondering about that. The bottom line in all this is, well, inquiring minds want to know, but also you never know what you're going to run across. I had in one newspaper, when I was researching for an applicant, I looked in a newspaper under the obits, and there was a whole column of at least 10 people. The column name was suicides. How sad is that? This was after the Depression, or kind of toward the end of the Depression, and after World War I. Y'all, there was some hard times. And I know Lorraine shared with me a story of a family that was just so poor. Laura, you can add more details if you want, but it's just, we cannot imagine. If you have read Angela's Ashes, which took place in Ireland, to talk about how poor they were, it's just brings tears to your eyes. So anyway, that's what I have. Any questions?
I got another story, like you were talking about the suicides. I couldn't find my great grandfather's obituary, and I kept looking and looking and looking. Well, he was on the front page of the newspaper because at the age of 85, he was running across the street and got hit by a car. There wasn't an obituary, but there was this article. But then on like the third page in, there was a list of everybody that had been hit by a car that week. I mean, it was like everybody 1935, and everybody was getting hit by cars to the point that it was a regular running article, column in the newspaper. But those
Yeah,
kind
my
of stories
grandparents
are
had a horse and
fascinating.
buggy accident.
Yeah.
You know, this was before my mother was born. He was a farmer. He couldn't afford a car, so that's what he had.
Yeah.
So you just never know, what you have. So um, I hope this wasn't too boring for you all, and I hope the whole idea is I just wanted to share some tools with you and give you some ideas because we all hit our head against the wall on a daily basis trying to find things, and there's a lot out there. You just gotta scratch the surface and look.
Susan, thank you so much for sharing with us. The next time we get together, we need to do relatives around me. Both sides of my family are from northern West Virginia. And my best friend's father owned the Weston Democrat. That first newspaper you showed?
Really.
Yes.
Oh.
Not
Yeah,
not back in 1871 though.
Yeah, Pendleton and Greenbrier, where Greenbrier Resort is, those two counties I have quite a few ancestors from. They all left, not all, but most of them left the area. But I have a lot from Rockbridge County in Virginia as well. So,
Most of mine are north, like Monongalia,
okay.
Monongahela.
My stepfather was from there. It's pretty
See?
country.
All right, as we close this up, how's everybody doing on your supplemental applications for your chapters? Is anybody working on those? Don't everybody get excited at once. I mean, there's only a contest going on.
Lori, you can tell.
No.
They just take a long time. You know, I
So
think I'm
now,
really slow. I think I'm very slow.
actually, I found six for the Trenton chapter. I wasn't feeling good. You guys know I'm getting over bronchitis. And I just kind of wanted to lay back and go and slide into that hot tub of simple research, and started playing around with some of, not all of them, but just certain people that were on the list, our yearbook list. And I found six that were no document needed supplemental applications. We had our meeting yesterday and I kept throwing him at Clay. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. I
Wow.
need you to review it. So, if you, that's, a lot of them can. I know you're working on or you've worked on a really hard one, Lorene, but there's a lot of ones out there that is just tying into another patriot. One of them, it was just picking up daddy. The patriot's father was a patriot. I've got three generations of patriots for me.
Wow. That's great.
I think a lot of them are, though, Lorene. I don't think that they lived in a bubble. In my situation, I have a private. His father was drafted and he sent in a substitute, so he was still supporting the efforts. And then his father furnished beef.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think that that was strange for a family to be all in.
Yeah.
I get people that are interested in finding or doing a supplementary on a patriot that hasn't been proven yet. And that's where I get bogged down.
Now, I got to give you kudos for that because that is helping our database, the GRS, grow and its historic preservation. That's one of the main pillars that we support or that we lean on. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
well, maybe next year we could have
a
have
different
that.
type of contest, right?
Yeah.
So I just encourage you guys. It can be done. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's all fun.
It is, isn't it?
We
Yeah.
keep telling ourselves that.
Yeah.
There are,
Maybe I protest too much. I keep saying.
you get that $5 vinyl record charge. I mean, that's fun. I mean, you get those supporting no document necessary supplementals. Those are fun. Those are the low hanging fruits that we all, if we had those all the time, it wouldn't be as much challenge or as much.
Well, I learned a lot today. This was really helpful. Thank you, Susan.
Yes, Susan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.